This one, well, actually, just the merge in this case fixing, could not find VS 2017, okay. I don't know what's the difference between % and exclamation in this case. Enable the alias expansion. We'll trust him. And merged OneTenX into dev. So that's good. That's a good thing. Getting ready for a release. Otherwise, we had... Oh, did I fetch everything? We merged some pull request. I'm not sure. Well, apparently we didn't. Okay, we didn't merge anything during triage. That's weird. OrchardCore. OrchardCore 7 days ago. I merged many things. Was it in the morning? Let me see. Yes, so we already talked about it. Commenting the runtime version used. Same thing. Decouple the OpenId module from YesSql introduce OrchardCore.OpenId.EntityFrameworkCore. So this was merged. The idea is that now you can use the OpenId module and user and role management using Entity Framework and not YesSql if you want to use Entity Framework. Nothing here. Documentation typo, so pull request. This is YesSql working on workflow. This is a merge PR, prevent ContentFilter to fail if a wrong alias is provided. Yeah, liquid filter should not throw exceptions. They should just be no op if there is an issue. And in this case, if the content cannot be found, then it will just return nothing. This is YesSql on workflow branch, fixing documentation table of content because I was missing it last time. So I haven't tried it, it should work. Core dev contents, it's here and it's there. Okay, good. Because last week we added the razor helpers and some liquid tags to get content items. This is YesSql. Upgrading Jint. Yeah, I talked about JavaScript performance last week and that we had a new version of Jint which was faster, and that improved the full page rendering throughput by 10%, which is good. And maybe we should not use Jint because Jint is not the fastest. It's very practical for many scenarios, but in terms of evaluation of JavaScript, there are much faster libraries. So if someone wants to try to include other libraries, there is one based on V8. There is one which is full also .NET called Nil.js. So ClearScript, Nil.js are supposed to be faster. So that will be interesting to see if there is an impact on the perf. Even for Orchard 1 actually, because in Orchard 1 it's also a big bottleneck, so that might make sense to use a different one. They don't expose particular security issues, and for the usage that we do, it might not be an issue to have to compile the code, so we should try it. Local storage cleanup. So Jean-Thierry has been working on improving the live preview and local storage usage. So now it's been merged and it's better. Shapes for empty phone bags, PR from Chris, to provide different shapes when the bag part is empty. Admin dashboard shape customization. There is a new shape called admin dashboard that contains the default text on the dashboard. This way you can create a module that will provide a different shape to provide a custom dashboard module, like managing widgets on dashboard or displaying your own portal view for your own settings, so your own statistics. So that's extensible now. The dashboard is extensible up to anyone to make an extension. This is a PR from Julian that provides the rolling tokens, or some people call it, it starts with S. What's the term? When we do caching and the window is moving, it starts with S. And not scrolling, but what's this option? What?
Sliding.
Sliding tokens. Some people call it sliding tokens. So as you call refresh tokens, you get the new token, as you call it. And so that's an option. Then this is Nick working on JSON API. So he's still working on that.
Yeah, just a little bit of documentation.
It's good.
Yeah, one of the readmes. Check out the bottom one.
Good. So examples.
Yeah, if you keep going down, I think I put a curl one in. Oh, maybe I put a curl one in somewhere else. But yeah, that's how to extend it.
Cool.
I even tried to write it as you would write it.
You mean without yeah, hey Ma, look at that, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So this is Sipke working on his branch. This is another PR, update the OpenID recipe step handler to allow enabling rolling token. So it was missing something. It was pushed. Jean Thierry working on background tasks in a PR, and this is and this morning Sipke submitted the pull request for workflow that some people have been reviewing, and some comments will be made, and that's fine because that's the goal of PRs. Like, who knew that 87.5 was better than 90%, right?
I knew.
And that you have to remove the double quotes, because why would you have double quotes around that? That's very important. We'll see. I see. I don't know what the difference. I will have a lot of screenshots, but I'm sure it's.
I think, was this? Well, I don't know how this happened. This wasn't done by me explicitly.
Okay. Oh, maybe it was generated from a. Okay. It's possible.
Well, the CSS definitely is generated. I made some changes to SCSS, but nothing related.
Oh, because of that. KBD padding and what is KBD?
I don't know. But this file broke when I ran the task runner. So I looked at the changes in the Bootstrap updates, and now they were using that.
That's what it broke. Okay, maybe a Bootstrap class that you had to use, and it. Okay, makes sense. So yeah, this Bootstrap update will trust you that you didn't change anything. It's Bootstrap. That's when it broke, because
I just used a variable that's no longer was no longer there. So the code padding Y is gone.
So maybe we didn't run, or maybe Antoine, when you updated Bootstrap, did you run the gulp pipeline for everything, like gulp rebuild, just to be sure that all the modules will take the new update?
Yes.
Okay, that's weird then.
Well, I suspect that not most of the, if any, module uses the Bootstrap variables.
But
I just happened
gulp build should have rebuilt everything, and this one should not have leaked as well. Or maybe when you merged it, you missed it?
Well, I added this variable in the admin SCSS file, because this is this section, the .code, that's what I added to the admin theme.
Sure. But when Antoine upgraded to Bootstrap, the latest beta, by running a gulp build, this should have been.
Well,
this
nobody
should-
else is using this, and this is
yeah.
on my workflows branch.
But code padding Y should not exist anymore apparently.
Do you think it's used elsewhere?
It was used there, and what I'm saying is that because it's used there, when
Well,
when
what you're
Antoine,
looking at is that it's part of the workflows branch, and in my
I know,
workflows
but-
branch, I changed the admin.
but you merged dev into your workflow branch.
Mhm.
So anything that was changed in the dev branch should be changed now in your workflow, meaning if
Yeah, but the
this-
dev branch doesn't have this entire section starting at line 2014
Okay,
through to
that
19.
makes sense.
It doesn't exist.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Okay, I didn't know.
no
So
worries.
it's a new section in. Okay, that makes sense now. Everything is explained.
It's a new
and that's good.
section. Yeah.
Thank you. And that's good. And that's all on this repository also. Demos.
I show some progress on the workflows module, and it's close to completion. There's just a few minor things that I just now realized. For example, the search I haven't implemented, but I'll just show the changes. One thing that changed is that on a workflow definition, I figured that it might make sense to select the scripting engine to use there. Because there's multiple activities that you can use that rely on scripting, and we can either move it to those activities where you choose the syntax, the syntax that you want to use. I didn't want to hard code to JavaScript because if other modules install other syntaxes, then you may want to use that as well. So I made a choice to make it a property of the workflow definition, and then that means all of the activities of this workflow will use that syntax. Alternatively, we can move it to each activity, and that's what I would like your thoughts on that. So yeah, so that changed here, and I added an enabled checkbox, so you can disable enable workflows. Let's see. And I added a little properties link here, so you can easily switch back to the properties of the workflow. Okay, so the next thing that was changed is the activity browser. It's now grouped by category. There's a little filter here.
Does it work?
It also works.
The filter.
Yep. Yeah, the filter too, and it's filtered by the selected category, but I'm not sure that's good. Maybe you just want to filter through everything. Yeah, so I'll change that.
And call it a search then, because usually when you know what you want to look for and you don't know which category it is, this way I think it's better to be cross categories.
Makes sense. I'll change that then.
That's my opinion. I don't know if anyone else has a different opinion,
but if it's your opinion, then it must be true.
It's my opinion is true to myself. The question is,
what do others think?
If they don't think, then I win, but they can think also. They can have opinions.
Well, I agree with you.
Okay, good.
All right. Yeah, so it works. There's all sorts of.
So when you start typing in filters, you can maybe switch to all if that helps you. I don't know. Reset everything.
Actually, I've made it a little bit more complex to make this work in a combined fashion. It will be very trivial to make it a search. But at the same time, maybe it's more intuitive that it switches to all if you start typing, so that you're aware of the fact that you're looking through all of the. Yeah, maybe that's better.
It will reset to that automatically. Okay.
Yeah. And what if you then backspace? Should you then jump back to the last selected?
No, who cares? All right. If you had more code, it would be more bugs, more things to fix. No.
Yeah, exactly. So
maybe if it's easy, so maybe some highlighting would be nice too.
Oh yeah. So for example, if I start filtering for HTTP, and all of the HTTP words would be.
Yeah. That's smart. Easy. I mean, same thing. You will have issues because we need to inject HTML to generate render. I don't know. Yeah, V2. Yeah, find an issue. Backlog. The filter is very interesting because like you have already 100 activities, and with this screen, if it's not grouped and searchable, yes, you won't be able to find what you're looking for. But yeah, I think it's a bonus. I mean, Daniel will do it as a PR.
Sounds good. Thanks, Daniel.
You're welcome.
All right. So I actually prepared a couple of workflows just so you don't have to watch me build them. One activity that I added.
When you add activity, we see events and tasks mixed.
Yeah. So one second. Oh, the cancel.
Does it make sense to have actually a hint, a visual hint?
So I wasn't sure. I was considering adding some 2 radio buttons, but then it appeared to be. Then I thought maybe it would be too complex, the filtering UI, because there is a distinction between tasks and events.
Or just the label.
Yeah.
The label in the footer, because there is add. Maybe we can have tags at the right saying task, or I don't know, something like that.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah. So
that's my opinion. Does anyone has another opinion?
Would it make sense to have separate buttons for adding one or the other?
Yeah, like a toggle or a tab.
The add button, you mean?
I mean two add buttons basically.
Well,
so you choose to add a trigger or you choose to add a tab.
But it's either one or the other. So if you if you have a label,
this cannot be an event. This can only be this is a task. This is an event. Cannot be a task.
So maybe either a banner or a label to say it.
I meant when you click the add button from the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah.
That will make more sense. That will make more sense because you know what you want to do. You want to react to an event or you want to execute something. It's not once you're in the. So you can already pre-filter because you already know what you want to do.
What about a add activity as we have now and a little drop-down arrow so you can specifically choose which one?
No, because you will. Yeah, there is not like a default case. It will be either an event or an activity and 50-50. There is not an obvious choice here. Usually you provide a drop-down like there is a default action and then you have options because these are less frequent options. So if you have here 2 buttons and you have the space and add event, add task, I think, something like that.
It's one less click also.
So it's like pre-filter.
That makes sense. So we'll have a
2 buttons.
2 buttons here, add task and add event.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's even simpler for users because then people will be like, what is an activity compared to an event or a task? So I think the word activity is fine for devs, but for users, it's already complex to describe what an event and a task are. So if now there is activity, I'm lost.
I see. Okay. All right. I added a merge task, so you can branch and then you can merge it back. And what it does, it just stays here. Execution halts. Well, it doesn't halt, but it remains here until the 2 tasks, the 2 sibling tasks, are finished executing. So this branch will cause both of these to be executed, and then when they're both done.
And so in .NET it's called join.
Yeah, join would be more conventional here, I think.
Okay.
And or you could call it wait all or wait any, because you must have the 2 of them, right?
Oh yeah, because in Orchard 1 we have merge and we have exclusive merge, but then maybe it's better to have a join or a wait all. And I wait any.
It's very explicit when you say wait all or wait any.
Yeah.
Because this way you know you have to wait for all the branches to come to join, or wait any to say the first one to join. So I don't know. Join is nice. I like also wait all or wait any because you will have the 2 cases.
I think this is good because it's very clear. Because when I started trying out the merge activity in Orchard 1, I wasn't sure what. Well, I wasn't sure how it worked in compared to the exclusive merge. I was less sure about that, but this, I think, makes a lot of sense.
Poor Sipke, you wanted to show us something, and we are just.
No, this is this is why I'm showing it to you guys so that I can get some good feedback. Otherwise, if I work on this thing in isolation, then I create something crazy and nobody will use it. That will be.
Well, don't worry, nobody will use the workflows module.
I will be the only one.
You just make
Okay.
it to have some things to say during conferences.
Exactly. So yeah, so remember last time I mentioned that the content event it would cause a database error. That's fixed now. So now when we publish,
And you didn't say how you fixed it.
oh, yeah. So the issue was that I broke it first, and I broke it by making content handlers asynchronous. And actually, I should show you the code.
No, that's fine, and not waiting for it.
Yeah, and not waiting for it, but I also had to await the projection itself or the execution itself. So not just the individual invocations of the handlers, but also the entire chain of things needed to be awaited as well. And I didn't do this in all places, so I forgot a few places, and that just broke the entire thing. So as soon as you would publish or create a content item, because of that change, it would just not work.
I have a biased question for you. How many times did you see errors like invalid lifetime scope or could not resolve, I don't know, whatever scope, workflow context or work context while you develop this module?
One time because I forgot to register a service that I just created.
Okay, good. And in Orchard 1, how many times do you have it when you run an instance? Often, you can say often. How many times did you have to worry about the database not stored or trying to resolve weird things to store things in database and understand how it
I
works?
had 0 issues with the database other than what I just mentioned because of
Good.
my mistake.
So OrchardCore is super robust.
It feels that way, so in terms of performance and reliability, it feels very stable. What I did.
Try to install the Meltdown patch now, and you will see the difference. 40%. Boom.
Okay, I'll do that. But I did encounter two occasions where the entire page would just not render because I should have created a screenshot because now I forgot why. Because and then I refreshed and it was just gone. But it also happened after I just compiled the solution, so I'm not sure if it has anything to do with that.
Yes.
But that happened twice. But if it happens again, I will make a note of it. And
yeah, and look at the log also. Maybe
yeah.
There are still issues for sure.
Yeah. But besides that, everything to me it's a dream, and I'm not exaggerating. It feels really robust. And what I like as well is that the database schema right now it's just tables of indexes, so it's not a big collection of tables anymore.
You have to say indices.
I know, but I said it on
the-
purpose. Indexes.
yeah.
Because I don't. I know
Sometime we'll,
technically it should be indices, but
He's right.
yeah.
Okay,
Except,
good.
Yeah, I have a naming suggestion. I don't. How about calling branch a
Branch is
fork?
bad. Branch, I don't like it either. I don't know what to.
So
So
what
how
is your
about-
suggestion, Daniel?
How about calling it fork instead of branch?
Split, Bertrand says. There for sure is a better name than branch. Branch makes sense, but
You don't like fork?
I don't like branch. I don't know. I'm sure that we'll brainstorm on that.
Because
Think.
branch to me kind of implies that there's a main branch and then you branch off of it. But
Yeah, branch is bad.
This is more like two equivalent forks from the same. left and right. Split is okay too.
So should we call it also run in parallel or something like that?
A parallel.
But not by itself, not parallel, but
No, not a parallel task.
but
Parallel,
running parallel or something. That's bad. That's even worse than that.
A fork join is a pretty well-known construct in these.
We should look at what the others do, just how they call that.
It's like pairs of words that usually go together. Branch and merge are a pair, and fork and join are such a pair too that you see a lot.
In K2, apparently, they have a parallel activity.
But isn't it, I mean, this construct isn't primarily about introducing parallelism. Yeah, they could be, technically they could be run synchronously. Like the parallelism is not a guarantee here, and it's not the main purpose of the fork.
Yeah, so there should be the same way there is a wait any and wait all. There should be two activities like we have in OrchardCore, in OrchardOne, which is run the first one or run all of them in parallel. So there are two activities for that in OrchardOne. I don't remember how they are called and or what their icon is, but there are two activities for sure. Like wait for one, like start one and start all. We could the same way we have wait one, wait any, wait all. We could call it start one, start first, and start all, something like that. Start any, start all. I don't know, something.
But that would also imply that the starting activity would control which ones execute.
That's
and
yes.
In this case, it's the merge.
Yes, but
yeah. So that would be weird if you had a start one and you had a wait all.
Yeah, but then okay, so we don't have a wait any, wait all. It has to be at the starting element because the join will always join whatever. I know because. How do we do that in OrchardOne? No, I know that's wrong. That might be wrong because you might wait for all and they come from different starting activities, meaning there could be two different branches, and then in the end you might want to join the beginning of two different branches into the same one, and so you need the two of them. And maybe you are auto-blocking yourself, but you have an issue. That's not our concern. You need a start one and start all, and wait one and wait all.
So why do you ever, as a user here, why do you care about whether you start all of them or just one?
Because you might wait for the first event to come. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
No, you might wait for an event and also start an activity. I don't know.
But then that's not a fork. That's you do that at the join, right? I mean, when you fork the execution, do you care about whether it's synchronous or asynchronous?
Yeah. So the branch will branch to events and not tasks, because tasks don't make sense to run in parallel. Maybe they just run synchronously, one after the other, and that's fine. Branching is just for event, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bertrand says a single activity and configuration, that's fine too. And same thing for the wait event. We could say, a configuration say wait for all or wait for first. Yeah, so the branch activity should just point to events because it's blocking, and the question is it blocking on anything or is it just blocking on all?
So if this branch, so if we have two events as child activities of the branch, then it depends on the merge whether it will wait for both events to have occurred, or
It's both of them. You can decide from the branch to wait for both activities, always make them
so it will be
waiting.
property of the branch itself instead of the type of
The two of them,
activity
the two of them, branch and merge, should have the
right.
option to trigger everything or wait everything. There can be completely opposite. So you can block yourself. You can say, I'm waiting for everything. Well, I'm branching to everything and waiting for the first one. That might work. That's okay. But it might be a bad workflow that you're creating, for sure. But that's your issue. The same way you could be waiting for an email and never sending any email from anywhere. So that's...
Okay, so instead of having a what did we call them? Wait all, wait any. It will be a single activity that's called, let's say, join, and then you configure on it whether it should wait for its
one or many.
or all of the inbound activities.
So I don't remember now. Why did we say that we can branch for one or many? Can we just branch and that's all, and it goes to the next activity all the time?
It should always, the branch, I don't see how you could choose whether to go to this guy or this guy. It should go to both.
Okay.
But in this case, yeah, you should have an option to
Okay, so
either
that's
wait
just fork split,
or inbounds.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't change anything that we said. Merge has an option, and branch doesn't have an option. And then the name is different.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense to me.
Good. Same thing visually. The events and the activity and the tasks should have something.
You mean these little shapes here? They should have a.
Yeah, don't have something in Orchard one like the
in Orchard one we use this little light bulb.
Yeah, but we use it
bolt.
Independently of the icon. Here you reuse also the icon and you replaced it, but now we don't see if the branch is an event or an activity or a task. Sorry. See, so maybe we need the same thing, an icon or a color or a label, something. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense, because right now you can only, if the author of the activity creates an event but decides to use a different icon, then there's no way to visually tell whether it's an event or not. So yeah, that's good. Content approval. So here's an example of a content approval thing, which I don't know if I showed the send email activity last time, but it has liquid support for all of the fields, by the way, so you can enter any expressions, so to access system variables or variables from the workflow context. There's that's here. There's an event called signal, so you can generate a URL that when invoked, it will then continue the workflow. And to generate that URL, you use the signal URL filter on an arbitrary string, which represents the signal name. So that's how this works. So you specify a signal name, you turn it into a signal URL, and then I make it absolute because this is going to be sent over email, so the user can click on a fully qualified URL. Let me make sure that I have the email running. Yep. that means if we go back to this workflow and we create a new article, it will send an email, and then we'll wait here on this event. So I'll demonstrate that real quick. So now we have no messages. What? Let me check. Oh, folded. Oh yeah, this is also new. So you can now look at the created workflow instances that help you troubleshoot issues with the workflow. So in this case, it's folded because I created a bug somewhere, because this is new to me. So what would have happened if I didn't break it? It would have been waiting for the signal here, and then when the user received the email, clicked on either approve or reject, it would continue to this guy here, and this is a if-else activity that looks like this. It allows you to enter JavaScript or script, depending on the script setting on the workflow definition. And then it would return true or false. And based on that, you can do anything else, like, you know, publish the content, delete the content, or send another email that it needs more work, etc. So that's workflow instances.
Sipke, did you say that you had Liquid support also in the fields like recipients and subject and things?
Yes.
So that means you could, for example, have a Liquid loop construct to send it to many recipients.
Yes. Say yes. Say yes.
Well, we can do anything that Liquid supports. So if Liquid supports that, then yes.
Okay.
But it also depends on this email task that it would understand, you know, a comma separated list of, because right now it's
that's not the question. You can use a loop.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's even a helper in the case you want a comma-separated list of values. There is a helper that lets you join a list with comma. So you can say my list pipe join comma, and that will do it.
Yep, totally. Yep.
That's the power of Liquid, and much simpler than tokens we had. So undocumented.
It's simpler and it's powerful because you can now provide also, well, not just filters, but also arguments to filters. It's that I don't think we had.
Then you can do variables and everything if you need. You can.
Yeah, you have these little things.
You can render a shape if you want here.
Yep. If
you need to. You can render a shape in your body if you need to. I don't know why, but you might.
Well, maybe a shape is interesting if in case you want a, you know, have a template of something.
Sure.
You want to use that for the email.
That's how we do in OrchardCore to customize the text we send for user activities, like when the user created an account or needs to reset his password. You can change the text by updating a template in a shape, so that you could still want to do that by injecting the shape here if you want it. To theme the email bodies. So a different theme will provide a different email body from a workflow task. Nobody cares about that, but you can do that.
I think that's pretty cool.
So hurry up, Hermes wants to show some things.
Yeah, okay. So, well, I think that's all I have to show. That's the work I've been doing.
That's good. Instances, properties, we didn't see it last time.
Yeah, that's new.
Properties, when you click, what happens?
So that takes you to the workflow definition properties, where you can change the name.
When can we see the variables, the current variables?
Oh, yeah, you can see that right now on the instance. So here, there's a state, and now it just shows you everything. I'm not sure if I think it's useful to see everything. Otherwise, I can just scope it to state, with shows the last result of the the last executed activity, which is might be useful. But these are these provided input, and this is properties. No activity currently set a property, but that's for properties to set properties that other activities can then use. Any activity can also set an output, which is useful, especially when there's a execute workflow task, which can then take the output of the sub workflow and then store it in the main workflow, for example.
And you can reuse this object in Liquid.
Yes, you can access all of this in Liquid.
And you can change this state from any activity.
Exactly, from scripts, from probably also from Liquid, and from activities.
That's good.
Cool.
Perfect.
I think the script language selection should be on the activity level, by the way, not the workflow level.
All right, so that you have the option, for example, you can potentially have 2 scripts.
Yeah, I think
here you select the syntax.
I think we should not be able to select the syntax.
At all.
Yeah, because you'll have a concern for example, if C# would be enabled as a scripting language. And
I think we won't add any other scripting language than JavaScript, ever. Or give me some options that we could add and give me a reason why someone would add it. Well, you will always find it, but then how many people will do it, and we have to support it in every screen. I mean, so what scripting language? Lua is nice language that we could use. VBScript, nobody will do that. What else? TypeScript, why not? But I mean, there is no reason to invoke TypeScript instead of JavaScript here. So I don't see any other language that we could use.
So then, why is there an option?
There is. There are other contexts in Orchard where it's not from the admin and the security doesn't matter. For instance, recipes. And you might want something else, and this supports the JS : syntax or the C# : syntax. But in this case, in these tasks, when you want to inject some script, I mean, for the population we're targeting in the admin screens here, I don't see anything else. Yeah. And if one day you want a Python task, well, do a Python task, that's fine.
Yeah, but if so you would implement a separate task for that then. Mm-hmm. So the script task that we have is JavaScript, and then you can add other script tasks for other languages.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
There are other tasks that could be configurable, like the one that accepts a Boolean. I don't know which one is the if-else. Yeah, you could have a Python expression if-else if you want, but we could default for us to JavaScript because that's simpler to have just one script here. And it's JavaScript, it's not like some weird thing that nobody knows. My opinion. I don't see myself using something else than JavaScript for these scripts. So, and I don't expect people to use, I expect most people to use JavaScript if they want to TypeScript. I don't want them to type C#. So up to your preference, but mine is that. So if you think you will one day want another script, well, I'm not sure we will. And also more features, more bugs, more things to support, and not break. So
yeah, that's probably true that the majority will use JavaScript anyway. There will be little use, and if that few do want to use a different syntax, then there's of course the option of creating a custom module and then providing their own set of Python activities, for example. So that's true, and it also makes it easier than this could be changed to JavaScript, for example. So just to make clear that the syntax expected is JavaScript.
And either way, it would be an extensibility point. So if we only support JavaScript out of the box, they would have to write something to add another language anyway. So it might as well be an activity.
Yep, that's also a good point. All right, well, I'll make a note of it in any case.
And that's less visual noise for the common case. Like, yeah, you create a script, it's JavaScript, but you don't have to select. There is not a drop-down with just one single element that we'll always see as a single element.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although,
Yes,
of course, we
that's
could
good.
hide it if we only have one element.
Yep. And then we'll forget about it and, oh, you broke that. You don't know, we could choose a JavaScript engine and whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe we could say, oh, I want different JavaScript engines. That's also a solution. But I think we should have just have one and take the best one, the most adapted.
Okay, one final demo, and that's the HTTP request activity. Yeah, it's a mess because
No, I say
it has a
Hermes.
lot of. Oh, okay.
Good.
Yeah, okay. So, but it's also crowded in terms of outlets because of you can specify the response codes that you want to handle. But this is a very, well, it's very basic, but it can do any sort of HTTP call except for posting files. Not supported currently. It only supports plain text, HTML, JSON, etc. Just the simple things. And depending on your content type, for example, if you use the x ... form you are encoded, then you would have to understand that HTTP protocol that you provide a set of key value pairs. Otherwise, you can paste in JSON if you like. This has room for improvement, lots of room for improvement to make it more like Postman, for example. But it's there and it works and it's pretty cool. So now, oh, another feature that I hadn't mentioned is that workflows here can have multiple starting points.
You mentioned
I
it
did
last
mention?
week. Yes,
Oh, okay.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
I think it's very cool because
That's
now
good.
you. Yeah.
So next week I want to see activities for the starting deployments, and I want to see events to react to schedules, like to signals. Okay, but a signal can be scheduled. Not in workflow. You have a schedule module that's based on a cron activity that sends signals, and there is a signal event that will trigger a workflow when a signal is sent. So you could create a signal from anything, but a schedule is one way to create a signal. Okay.
Oh yeah, the cron. Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
have a. Here, check this out.
And activities to trigger a deployment, so we can deploy based on some workflow to another instance, for instance. Okay. Good.
Sounds
Hermes,
good. Yep.
thank you very much, Sipke. That's
Yeah, my pleasure.
incredible, but we see it, so it's no more incredible. Unbelievable. Hermes has left, so he can't. So I need to make you present.
Demo is for OrchardCore and is for localized media items. A little bit of context before. We work a lot with website in a multi-language scenario, and so one of things is missing for us on OrchardCore is to translate media items. When I talk about translation, I mean the title, the alternate text, so the metadata of media. What our users have to do when they want to translate media by now is to upload a file every time he wants to translate it. So the same file is duplicated a lot of time, one time for each language. We don't want this the default behavior, so we have realized a new feature. I prepared a tenant Orchard where I activated this new feature. The feature is named Media Library Localization Extensions. When I enable it, this new feature take care of three things. First of all, it adds a localization part to all media stereotypes, so images, documents, audio, movies, and so on, external media. It adds a filter form to media library console, so this one is the filter. and adds to all media library picker fields a setting in order to manage what the field should do when media is there. So I try now to import a new file with the media library. I upload one file, and when I upload it, nothing changed from before. The media is in status of culture undefined. I can edit it, and if I want, I can assign to it a culture. So I upload this file, I upload another one that is an English PNG. I selected, I can edit, and publishing it, I will assign the language English to it. A new label appears in the thumbnail that explaining which language it is. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Because of the presence of the localization part to this media, I can make a translation of it. It appears with the classic localization part UI. When I click on New Translation, what it does is to clone the metadata and saving it. I will assign to it the Italian culture. As you can see, the file is the same, is the N1. If I want to change the JPEG or the image, I can replace it by uploading a new one. And now we have the localized metadata of an image, and also another image for the two language. I will upload another one image, this one. I will assign the English language. I demo only for images, but it works also for all the other medias. So in this case, we have the first image, the first one I uploaded, that is culture undefined. Another one that is in English, and its translation in Italian, this one. And another one only in English with no translation. What I had done is to configure a page content type with 3 media library picker fields. Well,
Type enter. Maybe
okay.
there's a bug. That's good.
Three media library picker fields. The first one, media localized. These are the settings I added. Is by default, when I enable this feature, the default for all media libraries is try to replace selected media items with their correct localization.
And this is the same behavior as the content item picker. Okay, good.
Yes, it's the same. So when I select this, I can choose to try to replace, and if something can be translated, I can keep the don't keep the item, so I remove the items from the media library picker field. If it has not a translation, it cannot be localized. Cannot be localized, it's when the media have not localization part. So I've configured 3 types of media library. One try to replace selected media. One do nothing. It keep the media as is. And another one that if has not translation, removes the media from the media library. Now I will create a page. This page is my English page. Here I will select my English image. There I will insert the Italian one, and here I will select the English one. So what I expect when I save the button is to keep the English version in this field, is to keep this one in the media not localized, and keep also this media strictly localized. I publish. Okay. Then I try to localize this page. Okay, this one becomes my Italian page. And what I expect is that the first media localized field will translate and replace this media with the Italian version. In that case, it keeps this one. In the media strictly localized, it will remove the English media because the content culture doesn't match the media culture. I publish, and we have that the media localized media has been replaced by its localized version, and media strictly localized has been removed because its culture differs from content culture.
That's great.
When I edit my media metadata, I can modify my title, the alternate text, and so on. So I can localize the metadata of media. Another thing we did is to prevent file system deletion of file if that file is referenced by one or more media in media items, in like items. So if I translate this one, that is culture neutral, now is English. I make a translation. If I delete the translation, only the media item is deleted, but not the file system file. Okay. Do you have a question?
No, that's good. And if you try to delete the next one, or if you try to delete the file, what was the check you made? Oh, I can't remember in the code in the PR that you checked that nobody is reusing the file before you try to delete it?
I queried the content items in the latest version. I count it if no others media items reference.
I see, and then you delete the file. Okay, I see.
Okay. When you suggested me to keep to check the latest and the published version.
Yes.
But the media is not draftable. So, or it is in the latest and never published, or if it's published, it's latest. So to check the latest one should be enough.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, that's it. This is the quick demo.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much. Very good.
Thank you.
And I will do the same thing in OrchardCore when we do localization with the 3 options in the content field picker and everything, because it was well discussed with Matteo also when we worked on that. Very good. Thanks very much. I wish the Lombic guys, not Janos for sure, but the other ones were there to see that. I'm sure they will watch the video because they care about it. And also Sotiris, who left, I'm sure he cares about localization for media, but that's okay. Good. Thanks very much. I will merge your PR. That's perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Last point I wanted to mention. I tweeted that we support OrchardCore on Windows Linux subsystem. You might know or not that on Windows 10 you can run Linux locally, and .NET Core and OrchardCore works on this system. So from Windows you can run OrchardCore in the Linux subsystem if you want to try Linux from Windows 10 directly. Jean-Thierry made the test to see if it was working on Linux. He didn't want to install Linux, so he installed it to Windows subsystem. And he mentioned that in Gitter, so I tweeted about it. So that's a great news. And that's it. Other questions, comments? Good. So see you next week.